You're welcome to Freshly Pressed on the Smooth Breakfast here on Smooth 98.1. Love music, love life. Apologies for the late start. It's 37 minutes past 7. Yeah, I know that you've been waiting for us to dive into the stories, the headlines, the major talking points this morning. And we are finally here ready to get things cracking. My name is Ayokunmi. Great to have you join us once again. Please do send your messages in to us on WhatsApp. Keep up with us out there. The number is 0809 That is the WhatsApp number. We're also on YouTube. We're streaming live at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Uh, catch up with us on the live stream there. Leave your comments in the chat box as well. And yeah, let's get this ball rolling. Devoe is with me on this Wednesday morning. Devoe, good morning to you. Great to have you on the show.
Morning, world. Morning, Lagos. Ewa. New day.
Yes,
Eku.
indeed.
FCT àti Benue.
Things are switching up each and every single day. As we all know, President Tinubu is set to visit Benue State today, the 18th. But before we dive, or just reference that, I still want to talk about Benue State and the governor of the state. That's Hassan Alia. Now he has rejected calls for self-defense by residents following the latest wave of brutal attacks in the state. Now, instead, urging communities to support the establishment of a more robust community policing system. Devo, I know we haven't had the chance to talk about this particular matter concerning Benue State, and I know you have your own thoughts on the issues so far. And looking at what the governor has said, that self-defense is not something that he's standing by. He'd rather urge the communities to support the establishment of more robust policing within the communities. That's something that you would agree with, looking at the situation up until this point.
Sorry, come again with that.
I said, is that something his position, the governor's position on not considering or thinking about self-defense by residents, but instead looking at a more robust community policing system? Is that a position that you actually support?
Um, First of all, let me start by saying hashtag I am Benue. Because if we all don't have the right mindset towards this tragic, gory, um, sadistic, barbaric slaughter of you and I, human beings, fellow citizens, we cannot begin to even discuss the problem. Uh, and I will answer your question. Unfortunately, in Nigeria, because of the incessant, frequent, daily attacks on citizens by way of kidnapping, paying of ransom, police brutality, sometimes the military brutality, armed robbery, cattle rustling, what do you call it? Banditry attacks, terrorist insurgent attacks here and there. We've literally gotten used, and the word is we're now incensed. We don't care anymore. If it's not affecting us, it really doesn't matter. We don't react at heinous actions like this, but we react on maybe someone insulted our religion or someone insulted our ethnicity. We see more reaction there than we see the real actions that actually crucify our culture. Now, um, in this Benue states, how do I put it? Since this attack, it's almost like there's been a slow response from the security forces at all levels, at the state level, at the federal government level. All the security forces showed up after the fact. This is given the fact that the chief of army staff was there about 3 weeks ago, and
Yeah.
this still happened. This is given the fact that even with intelligence services, both the intelligence services and the people knew that the killer herdsmen or the terrorists were within perimeter, were within the bushes. So nothing new happened. Nobody was taken by surprise.
Are you there, Devoe? Hmm. Oh my, looks like some network issues have crept in.
That the
Devo,
Alia, Reverend Alia,
okay,
is
Devo, you're
at
back.
large with.
You broke off for
Okay,
like a couple of seconds there. We couldn't hear you.
okay, sorry. I think a plane passed. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, clearly.
Yeah, so I said that with everybody knew what was going to happen, both the residents and even the security forces and intelligence. Nothing came by surprise. So with complete failure at the end of the day, it tells me that this is when they say all politics is local, all insecurity is also local. Now, we understand that there's a big rift between, all is not well between the governor and his, let's call him his godfather or one of his predecessors, George Akume, the Secretary General of the Federation, the SGF. And because of that rift, it seems as if we can connect the dots between that rift and what is going on in Benue State and why there hasn't been what we call affirmative action from anywhere. So here you are with this article. Many people from Danjuma long ago saying it over and over at this old age, and I don't understand the refusal of the youths to arm themselves to defend themselves like they did in the southeast, in some places like they did in Uromi. It's unfortunate that we have to use that example, but the point is, government in its security architecture has shown that it's not ready. So we're not arguing that, those days we used to say that these bandits have overpowered the army, they've overpowered the air force, the navy. No, it's not true. They've overpowered the police. No, of course you'll have a few ambush situations. The point is there seems to be an involvement of government not to protect citizens, not to, because remember the days of Kaduna. Kaduna had 5 military installations, yet all that insecurity was taking place. In this village close to Nasarawa, there are still police in military formations. There are even some alleged rumors that even some army officials were helping the terrorists. And then the confirmed cases that the people that were slaughtered, those who were alive, who were trying to put their bodies out on the road so that everybody would see it, they were being shot
Hmm.
at by security forces. Now tell me, do you need a governor? In Taraba, they came to cry for you. Here you have a governor who's saying people came from outside. Which outside? Why do we do this to ourselves? AY. So
These are the
pending
questions.
when pending when we can resolve our atrocious politics, meaning politicians are ready to waste human lives in the battle of power, ego, and influence. That is Nigeria for you. River State, state of emergency, where no blood was spilled, all because of the billions, the 500 billion they receive every quarter. That is the state of our politics, state capture. Same thing in Edo State, where money was used to compromise political agents of the opposition so that during the tribunal, nobody could stand as witness to attest to the facts. This is the state of Nigerian politics. And I need Nigerians to know we don't need to go back on this talking. This is who we are. This is what we do. Politicians are all playing politics about 2027, clearly way ahead of the time, not concentrating on the duty at hand in uplifting the safety and the welfare of Nigerians. Can you not smell the coffee? Now, when you're talking community policing, the IG has stated what community policing is. Community policing was his attempt to put an extra 1,000 policemen at the local government level in every local government, 774 around the nation. So that is 1,000 times 774. That should give you sufficient, at least, not let me not say sufficient, but increase the numbers. Okay,
But will they even get those numbers?
774 look, eh?
But will they even get those numbers? That's a lot of
But
numbers.
they haven't even done it. That's the problem. The last time they did recruitment, the police only recruited 40,000. If you add 40,000 on top of the 350,000, of which half of them are doing public private security, you're not going anywhere. Give them agbado, give them beans, and raise manpower to 1 million. That was the promise of this administration during the campaign. I've not seen any efforts. Okay, let's look at what it takes. Of course, the federal government cannot carry the bill. Hence, with the increased revenue going to states, by now, with the national security meetings, National Economic Council meetings, the Governors Forum, the National Assembly, why are we still deliberating state police? We should even be discussing community policing, Amoteku, forest rangers, what do you call them? Hunters. Are we joking? AY, are we joking? If state governments can carry the bill for their states, then by now we should not be discussing again now, AY.
Ideally.
So I'm painting this picture so that Nigerians know that your leaders are the problems that you face. But because you, as citizens, are more than the leaders, then you must take up governance. You must hold them accountable. You must defend yourselves. You must do the needful so that these people that we elect as our leaders must begin to have respect and a bit of fear for citizens. There must be a sense of urgency. You cannot all be drinking champagne on one side and then, in the same breath, be telling citizens that are being shot and slaughtered like chickens to wait for you. When you finish your party, you will come and attend to them. Really? Nigerians, I blame you. You must wake up. You must wake up to your duties. This is your country. I don't know how many of you have two passports. How can we sit here and just be even when I saw the Benue citizens protesting, I was like, what are you protesting for? Didn't you see that the same security forces, the police and code, that didn't show up to protect them, showed up to prevent them
Mm,
from protesting?
from protesting.
Make sense out of that for me. Please make sense out of it.
Okay, Devoe, let me take a message or two here before we get back into the conversation here. This is Emeka Nikeja who says, more robust community policing is grammar. Why are people wielding guns and killing their neighbors, not caught and prosecuted? This community policing measure will fail because of insincerity of purpose. All right, thank you for your message there. Let me take another one. Let me take another one here. This is Abayomi Animasha that says the question was about the governor's actions. Devoe has left the topic. The issue discussed Benue and not rivers. Has the governor funded the police force in Benue State? What does he do with funds for security votes? If he had invested these funds on security in collaboration with the state commissioner, the commissioner will not wait for the federal government. I want to imagine, Abayomi, you heard when Devoe talked about the increased allocations and that these states have received. He also mentioned the other security forces from other states as well, trying to tie that in. I want to imagine you heard that part as well. But
Let
thank you
me
for
let me even speak
your message.
to the security. Most people say that every state governor has security votes. Yes, that is true. Between 1 billion to 5 billion. What do they do with it? The point is, um, whilst that is the prerogative of the governor, the the state government cannot fund extra manpower on ground. Okay, they can coordinate JTFs, but JTFs are literally illegal, meaning they cannot carry firearms. So that's why we always say governors are, their hands are tied. There's nothing literally beyond elementary measures to be taken, which should be done. I mean, we agree on that, but their
Mm,
hands are tied. And that's why, as Wale Soyinka said, there's what they call civil disobedience. If civilians come together, arm themselves for their own protection, I can assure you that is justified. That's why there's a silent, tacit approval of what happened in Uromi. Do you understand what I'm saying?
right.
Uromi, Uromi, they've been crying for over 10 years. Then people who have two heads and are more Catholic than the Pope decided to make noise when the Uromi people decided to defend themselves. No, I disagree. I disagree. If they've been crying that long, losing their lives, their properties, right? And when they decided to now act, that's when you rise. then clearly we can see whose interest was being protected. Therefore, in this Benue case, I've told all Benue citizens, arm yourselves because clearly, the security architecture of the state, both at state and federal level, is not prepared, neither are they ready to defend human life. It must get to this point because the truth is this: if government is don't you see how they act when they're ready? When during NSAS and many of the civil protests in this country over and bad governance, you see the full weight of the military, the full weight of the police out to stop unarmed citizens from just opening their mouths and speaking out their pains and their groans. What is a democracy? So
All
it's
right,
a
Devoe.
government of the people, by the people, for the people. So unfortunately, until this government addresses the inadequacies, especially by ramping up manpower and policing, then the citizens must fill in that gap. There's no going back on this.
All right, Devoe, let's take a walk into the Guardian real quick, and let's talk about credit and NINs and so on and so forth. The federal government is set to roll out a landmark reform linking Nigerians' credit scores to their national identification numbers, the NINs, in a move designed to establish a unified and transparent credit system across the country. Announcing the development at the State House media briefing in Abuja on Tuesday, Managing Director of the Nigerian Consumer Credit Corporation, that's Credit Corp, that's Uzoma Manwagba, said the initiative aims to consolidate credit data from all financial institutions, banks, fintechs, and microfinance providers into a central national credit bureau. Devoe, is this something that is long overdue or something that we're probably not ripe for? Where exactly would you say this puts us right now?
Well, I can understand the need for a credit bureau. Okay, I think there are like two or three existing already, depending on which banks and micro financial institutions that sign on to it. It's usually to help lending institutions make a decision on the person that they're giving money to, because as you know, banks call it NPL. That's the non-performing ratio. Those who collected money, either individual or corporation, and have not been able to pay back or haven't even paid back at all. So it's this reaction that kills financial institutions because they can't get their money back, hence they die. So yes, it's a good move, but the only aspect I was looking for to see the clarification was defaulters risk passports, others denial. No, I don't think they should go that far, and I think there will be protests regarding that issue. Um, your credit, uh, your credit history, okay, is not criminal. It's only criminal when you have not engaged with the person or the institution you collected the money from, because nobody knows what has happened to you. If integrity means even if you had issues along the way, you need to speak up, speak out, let them know, let them take notes. Yes, other institutions should not lend to you until you've been able to address your issues. So saying that people would their passports would denied because of their credit history, no, it's not done like that. So the idea is that I don't even see why they should tie it to the passport. I think what they need to do, as usual, is to aggregate the credit bureaus that exist in the country at the moment into one central database and let every institution that requires that information share from that database. That's what should be done. Not that because you cannot link one's credit history to owning a passport. No, that's literally illegal. That's going beyond the territory of what a credit risk bureau should be doing.
All right, Devoe. Thank you for sharing your thoughts there. I'm going to jump into, let me see here. I'm going to jump into uh, um, another story. But before I actually do that, talking about this particular story, just to should I say get a bit of more clarification here? Can we say that the reason that this move is being made is, um, should I say, somehow linked to uh, general behavior in Nigeria when it comes to lending and borrowing and so on, because there's actually a story talking about reps probing the anchor borrowers program and so on, and we know how that kind of panned out. But like you said, it shouldn't be tied to that sort of thing. But what if you have a situation where People have, taken credit and so on and decide, you know what, we're to flee the country and all that. Wouldn't you say that tying this to passport and so on and so forth would be a way to mitigate against things like that happening? Because, hey, history has a lot to play.
No, you see, the measures put in place the way the credit bureau works. The credit bureau is not the enforcing agency. The credit bureau is like the intelligence agency of financial institutions. Okay, it enables financial institutions to assess risk. So, for example, if you've collected money from one institution and you want to go to another, they can check and say, is this person, does he have a history of paying back? You understand what I'm saying? That's how it's done abroad. Two, even if you disappear, meaning you dodge the institutions and you try and find yourself out of the country. That's why many institutions ask for security, collateral. You can see where some people's bad behavior is spoiling the show for other people. So
Mm,
that's why you use credit history to show it's not a one-time thing. It's something that once you begin to engage with banks, that your credit history is being built. Abroad, you see how many people fight and struggle to get their credit scores up because when they will require lending or when they will require assistance, either by way of their personal lives or by way of business, these histories will come up to show that, look, you've not done well. So it's not meant to be punitive. It's meant to be to prevent you from to encourage you to act right. So do you
okay,
understand what I'm saying? So
right,
that's how
right.
it works. Not that it's used to flog people into running away or staying below the radar lines.
Okay. All right, Devoe, very, very quickly. I actually want to talk about the anchor borrowers, fund disbursement. Now, the House of Reps are actually, through its committee on nutrition and food security, has commenced an investigation into the disbursement of the 1.12 trillion naira earmarked for the anchor borrowers program. The probe also covered the disbursement of 215 billion naira by Nigeria incentive-based risk-sharing system for agricultural lending for agribusiness and Bank of Industries BOI payments of 3 billion naira to 22,120 smallholder farmers through the agriculture value chain financing program. All right, Devo, I think I kind of set this up perfectly for you. Very quickly, walk us through this one.
Well, it's these funds are funds that I'm well aware of at that time. And unfortunately, what I'd say is this: it's not so much about the reps doing their probe. I mean, the probe for on the 33 trillion ways and means. Has it not entered voicemail? AY, what do you want to hear? This too shall enter voicemail. So
When will,
unfortunately,
when will things stop entering voicemail?
well, it's called corruption. As long as politicians are ready to sort themselves out, these programs are all well thought out. Do you understand? There were intervention programs to address agricultural at the primary, secondary, and tertiary levels. Okay, but what happened? They ended up being political wind pipelines to settle cronies, to settle use for elections, and most times even the banks who are the uh, collaterals to some of these loans lose out because the money doesn't come back. So it's not a new story. It's not going to change. I mean, remember the trader money? They shared
Mm,
20,000 to traders in front of us. How many traders got it? The 500 billion at different times that was shared. Who and who? Where did it go to? AY? If you ask me, the answer is flying in the wind. It's not today. We've always been using all these funding intervention schemes as compromised pipelines, NDDC, AY. At this point, I'm sure my mic will go off because the demons that have been eating this money do not want the truth out there. Um, on like I said, tied to the first story, these are matters of national security. Here you can realize, you can see the EFCC has gone quiet. Administration to administration, sincerity about handling and dealing with corruption is what Nigerian citizens will need to hold their leaders accountable. Because each person comes up and says, I will deal with corruption. Yet, by the time they leave, their track record is worse than uh, the people they accused of being corrupt before them. It's in our national fabric. So I'm not expecting anything um, new from this. The few funds that have been repatriated is where it will end. And we will move on onto the next fund. Just like you saw this president do when there was so much noise about the human national disaster, humanitarian disaster ministry
Right.
that was receiving all those funds. What happened? They had to sack a lot of people and then stop those activities. So here again, this is just reporting to you that money was given away and it disappeared. Is it a new story in this country?
Looks like a case of rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. So let me take
Yes,
messages
sir.
as we wrap up this morning. Peter in Festac says, um, great insights this morning, guys. Tinubu declared state of emergency in River State as a capture to increase his wealth. I don't know where you had that one. Increase his wealth. Which wealth? I don't know where you had that, Peter. For the security forces shooting at citizens, they should also know that they will die someday. For the committee set up to investigate, it will not come out positive. A lot of people do not have any faith in all these
Uh,
processes.
at all.
Uh, Jerry says, please may I ask, are these killers not human beings? And are they not coming from somewhere? Why are we going for the wild goose chase when these guys are in those localities? This is the same thing Buhari did for 8 years, borrowing money to buy Tucano jets to fight the invisible beings. The president is taking his time to go visit his citizens. If it were his own kin, would he take such time? If you ask me, Jerry, who will I ask? Abayomi says, um, on the credit bureau matter, if you owe money, you should not travel. Okay. Ajayi Oloniloa says holding a town hall meeting is not the solution to the Benue massacre and the insecurity plaguing the entire country. Let every state have its own police to take care of every community and the large ungoverned spaces in their states. The Nigerian police cannot police every inch of the country. Well, let's see if this town hall will be different when the president gets to Benue State. I don't know if it's going to bring anything tangible in terms of solving the problems. Well, let's see. Let's see how it pans out. Tony Nikeja says, what really is it with this government and landmark? Every time landmark, landmark, and yet there's little or nothing to see. Let me take this from YouTube. Chidera says, my problem is that up until now, not even one suspect has been caught in relation to the Benue massacre. It's sad. And Emeka says, has anyone noticed the silence from the Sultan and other northern leaders on these Benue killings? We all saw our voices when those 11 hunters were killed in Edo. We shall see the truth soon. All right. And on that note, we need to wrap it up. Thank you so very much, Devoe, for taking the time out to join me this morning.
Yes, I just as a final note, and I'm saying it again, audience, Benue people, arm yourselves. We're not going to come back again to hear that another 50 people were slaughtered because they will come again. Your security forces have failed you constantly. Clearly, they've shown you that they're not willing to help you. So arm yourselves. At least if you're going to die, die fighting, not die uselessly like a chicken or a cockroach defenselessly when at the end of the day it was your government that failed you. So Benway people, please, we are all Benway this week. Everybody, if you have ways of sending resources to the people in Benway to enable them arm themselves, please do it. We will take back this country day by day. Enough of this senseless killing. Enough.
All right. Thank you very much, Devoe, for joining me on the show this morning. It's been a great morning on Freshly Pressed. Thank you all for the messages and keeping it tuned. The Smooth Breakfast will kick on 8:50. We'll take a walk into the locker room. Tega will be in for some great sporting action.